Hello and welcome to another episode of Justin's Leap to the Past. So last episode I talked about a cool gig that I had in LA. So now I figured I'll talk about a cool gig that I've had here in Tokyo. And that was when I was a werewolf for a Daihatsu car commercial. Now when I auditioned for this, I went in there with a couple other guys because in Japan you audition usually in groups, even when it's, solo audition thing. And there was one guy in front of me and they had him take his shirt off and I was a little thrown back. Usually they warn us about that, but okay. And they had him howling like a wolf. I thought, okay, I can do that. And, it was something, here's a pro tip for auditions. Whatever they have you do, however weird it may be, you should own it. You should really take it in you, and like that is you. That's what you're doing. So even in the audition, I was a wolf. I, screamed, howled pretty loudly, not to the point of being hoarse, but right to that line, because you don't want to go over that line. You don't want to give them something that you know that you can't duplicate on set for several hours. So I did. I felt okay about it, and I ended up getting the job, and that's cool. So then I went to the production place for some fittings, but they did a full head cast. So I was in my head was in a box for about an hour as they molded my head, and yeah, did some clothing checks and other stuff, and showed me as they went the costume pieces, and it was a big deal. It was like a really professional werewolf outfit. I mean, they weren't messing around. And then on the day of the shoot, I went to Toho Studios, which was actually, I think, not too far from where I live now. This was a while, like a year and a half ago, so I'm not super remembering it excellently. But went to the studio, and I had a big dressing room, like a really big dressing room. That was really cool. But I never really got to use it that much because not long after I got there, I had to go into wardrobe and makeup. And I was in that room for about 5 or 6 hours as they brought out all the pieces, and there were big gloves, and they literally glued carpet to my body for extra volume and hair to come out of my chest and everything. I had to put on these yellow contacts for yellow eyes. And by the way, in the description there should be a link to the commercial. It's down, not there officially anymore, but I did find somebody uploaded it to their private YouTube page, or personal YouTube page, so you should be able to watch it, hopefully. But yeah, I had these yellow contacts to have yellow wolf eyes, and they were so thin. I'd never tried color contacts before, and it was really hard to get them in my eyes. And my wife, she used to wear color contacts all the time. She's like, yeah, it's no problem. But for me, it was, I wear regular contacts, and to use these really thin ones, it was difficult. But also the teeth. So they took molds of my teeth, but to make these fangs, I had to put them in, and I guess they didn't make them long enough for the director's taste, because anytime I would, the teeth wouldn't be prominent enough. So even though they had some poly grip or something to stick them to my teeth, I often had to displace them in order to get the tooth visibility that the director wanted, which was really rough for me, because it's one thing to act while you're wearing all the accoutrements of a werewolf, but also it's hard to howl when it feels like your teeth are literally going to fall out of your mouth. But actually, leap back just a day before that, and there was something called angle check, which they often do for shoots where they just want to make sure that all the camera placement's right and the lighting's right. It's kind of a test run, rehearsal, and I wasn't in full costume then, but that was like a 6-hour day before the actual shoot day. So 6-hour angle shoot, 6 hours in makeup, and if you've never been on set or done that sort of thing, hair and makeup people are the nicest people ever. Not just on set, but the nicest people. They're so kind, so empathetic, so sweet, and they've been there longer than you have, longer than just about anybody has. But they're always so nice. Oh, and Japanese people in general are really nice, but these people were so nice. So I'm in makeup for 6 hours, and I get to set. And you know, in Japan, they really know exactly what shots they want. They have, you know, it's a big comic book culture, and their shot lists, their storyboards are like comic books, and they know exactly, you know, second 13 to second 16, we want this shot. So they do that, and they kind of modularly then place the shots, and they're actually oftentimes just offset, doing the editing as they go along. It's really wild to see like a rough cut before you leave that day. And I worked with this famous guy in Japan named Daigo-san. Daigo used to be a idol, male idol, and then he's kind of a comedian, talent guy, working the variety show circuit and everything. He's a pretty big deal. So it's just him and I, and super nice guy. Like he was very kind to me. And yeah, I did, like, one of the last shots, I had to get up on this scaffolding that was maybe 4 stories high, and then kind of strap myself in so I could get this kind of rooftop howling at the moon angle. And I was not scared. I'm not really worried about heights or anything. And I was strapped. I was sort of, there was a line, a kind of like safety harness around me, even though I had to get kind of edge to the very end of that thing to get the good shot. But one of the makeup ladies actually came up the scaffolding with me, so she was kind of 1 floor below, peeking through, just making sure that I was okay. And you know, that sweetness was really appreciated. We took a bunch of still shots then afterwards for like promotion and stuff. So me and Daigo-san are in pictures, and yeah, it was neat. And this was the first time ever on set that I was given a bouquet of flowers. So they give that for usually the lead in a commercial. So of course Daigo-san got his, and then he left, and then like I was, you know, it was just me doing my last shots, and they gave me the flowers, and that was really cool. And you know, I think I shot that in June, July, and then in like late August and September. Every morning when my wife would watch the news before she went to work, she would see my commercial, and that was really neat. Like, that commercial was everywhere. It'd be great if it got picked up again this year, but yeah. So that was one of the cooler gigs that I've had here in Japan, and really, like, here you have to have a lot of gigs to make it. So I've had, you know, I've only been acting in Japan for 2 years, but really it's been the equivalent of, like, you know, probably the amount of work that I would have had, that a working actor would have maybe in 8 years in America, because there one commercial will last you several months, and here I need to get 2 commercials just to pay my rent every month. So, but the competition's less here. You know, there's plus and minuses to both places. But yeah, that was a really good commercial, and if you want to see it, look down in the description. I will link to it there. And while you're down messing around below this video, you know, feel free to give a thumbs up, maybe subscription if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I'm doing these pretty often. Hopefully you like them. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm also on Instagram at USJustinJapan, and on Twitter at JustinLeeper_yo. So there we go. That's my leap to the past for today. Thanks a lot. Rawr.